Guess who's back? Back again. Tab's back. Tell a friend. So in Trinidad we have this saying, what don't miss you and pass you. Which to me is synonymous with let go and let God. I say this way too often, but far too many people try to be in control of what is going on. And the simple fact, if you listen to the previous podcast, that the world is run on opinions and everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and that's fine, is testament enough to really just let things be. If somebody says that they are SpongeBob, cool. If somebody says, yo, I am Spider-Man, great. If somebody says, yo, I'm Superman, great. The other thing that we need to do a bit more is not only listen to what people say, but watch what they do. Right? I hate to say unfortunately, but this is life, so experiences are experiences. So fortunately and unfortunately, we experience people, or if we fortunate enough to have that privilege to experience people in different phases of their existence. Meaning, a workmate in work is different to that same workmate maybe in a party or a dinner or fishing or camping or some party or whatever it is. Similarly, the CEO in the office or the chairman or the COO or whatever is one person in the office, but outside of the office when they're playing tennis or maybe you're just catching up in the office over lunch or something, it's two totally different people. And recognizing that, I think you should also realize that, just let people be and you just exist. You do what you need to do, basically. What am I trying to say? What is it trying to get at? Instead of trying to control the narrative all the time, just exist. Let go and let God. What is for you ain't past you. You know what I mean? You might be trying to control the narrative. Oh my God, no. I'm getting older and I need to make this money to do this and I need to do that and I need to do this. So long as you're doing what you need to do and not what you want to do, and I don't want this to go over your head. So long as you're doing what you need to do and not what you want to do, everything will be perfect. I don't want to make this too I don't want to make this too biblical or skewed to a certain belief. But for those who believe in God, understand in letting go and letting God. For those who believe in the will is the wrong term to use, especially as a Christian. But there's this book that my ex, we had a book exchange where the first real book, this is two exes in this story at this point. The first real book was from my ex when I was still in university. This was Rich Dad Poor Dad. At that point I was still into Legos and just being me as per usual. I never stopped being me. But she was like, yo, you're getting a bit older, so you need to read this type of stuff. And she got me the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was fire. And, we broke up life. We were young, whatever. That was the wife, but anyways. And then one of my exes after, she has a bunch of books. Like she was into reading from time, and her dad and her mom and all that. They into that type of stuff. I was never the reading type. But blah blah blah. She had this book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. In addition to that book, she had like fairy tale books and fiction and non-fiction and whatever. But I don't know why that one stood out to me. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep. And it wasn't scheduled or planned or anything, but she was like, yo, do you have this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad? I was like, yeah, I do. And she was like, could I read it? I was like, sure, no problem. So I gave her and I was like, this book look interesting. Is it okay if I borrow it? And she's like, sure. Up to now, we broke up, maybe, what year we in? This is maybe like 3 years or 4 years. I can't, probably 3 or 4 years. However long we broke up, I still have this book, The Subtle Art to Not Give a Fuck, and she has the original Porter. I doubt she ever read it. And I have always skimmed through The Subtle Art to Not Giving a Fuck, and all that prelude just to say, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck to me is very synonymous with let go and let God. It is, I even told my baby mommy, that same thing. Like, it is very synonymous with each other. And the essence, if I could summarize it in all, is that you could control what you can control and you can't control what you can't control. It is literally as simple as that. There are a lot of things in life that you have or you will get the privilege to be able to control, and people think that control means do as I say and do nothing else and rule with an iron fist, but no. People tend to forget that you could only protect what you could control. You could only protect and provide for what you control genuinely, wholeheartedly. With what is called these things? Oh gosh, blank checks type of take care of. But because people try to be in control and then want to get taken care of, it just doesn't work like that. So me, in many instances, more than I ever believe, my approach was just like, yo, just let go and let God. Like, there's so much I could control, and eventually gets to the point where it's just like, no, like, no, like, you can't control the situation, bro. Just let it be. And even if I end up getting hurt at the end, like, that's just testament to me majority of the times of, yo, you didn't control this situation, which is fine. You know what I mean? Because there are always, 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 always situations where you might be put in, situation. I say that word again. Put in a situation where you actually able to control it, and it's to the benefit of not only you, but to this individual and the offspring of this individual and the people around them and their family and my family and the pet and the house and, just society in general. But again, if you try to control everything, you might never get that experience simply because you don't know when your need is necessary, and your, how to put this, your resources are necessary to put into this place, simply because you're so caught up in trying to control everything that's going on around you. I do believe it takes a certain level of maturity to realize that, yo, as much as I wish I could have controlled my girlfriend so that she thinks this way and she sees me this way, or as much as I wish I could have tell my brother, yo, do this, and he does that, or I could tell my boss, hey, no, that's not the right way to do this because this is how I done it and it was successful, so everybody should be doing it my way. As much as you'd love to do that and you want to do that, sometimes it's just to let it be. Sometimes it's truly just to let it be. And what I've realized is that as much as you'd think that your peers, your bosses, your acquaintances, whatever it is, that's not English, whatever it is, or whoever they are so up there and they just try to control everything. In most instances, you just kind of look at what you do and then react off of it. Think of this. And I believe the majority of us would be able to relate to this. Think of a situation where you have a job, a regular 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever it is. The job of your supervisor is not necessarily to control you, but more to supervise your capabilities, manage expectations to some extent, and to most extent is just see what you would do, and based on what you do, either give you additional work um, shift around responsibilities, or maybe in the worst case scenario, you might even get fired. But they are not going to grab you by your hand, especially in the, I guess, the proper adult world, which is the world I'm in right now. When I was younger, I'd done internships, when you're much younger. You do internships or whatever. But in the world I'm in right now, their job is not to hold my hand and be like, okay, so based on my experience 5, 20, 15, 100 years ago, 1 plus 1 is 2, and I need you to do 1 plus 1 is 2. They would hire you just based on, okay, this guy or this girl is capable of a piece of paper, off of where they studied, off of what they're doing right now, off of what they would have done. And this is our general expectation. Be free. Go on. Make us money. Make us popular. Blow up our Instagram. Make us $100,000. Make us $1,000,000. Retain these customers. Get rid of these bad customers. Get these customers to invest more. There's never a handbook to really get everybody to perform on the same level. So even them, they mightn't think of it the same way, but to some extent, it's also a let go and let God, or just don't give a fuck, but not detrimental. Don't give a beep, but don't give up to the point where you could either float the boat or sink the ship. You know what I mean? And I think that is such a calming, peaceful realization that we could come to in life. What you do not, or what you cannot control, just let it be. Let it be. And what you could control, or as I said earlier, what you need to control, do that. You know what I mean? Anywho, this episode was sponsored by TDSK Production, bedroomaudioengineer.com. This is your host, Tall, big up short. I'm gonna stop saying my full name. I just leave it as Tall. I kind of like what that is. And Tall is just a combination of like the first letter in my first name and the first 3 letters in my last name, Tevon T, and then Allen ALL Tall. That's fire. So yeah, just some more random thoughts on a Tuesday. And I was actually in bed, and this idea just popped up in my mind. So I said, you know what? Let me just record it and share it with you. Will. The other thing is, the podcast is done at this point, but for all the people who this might be benefiting in whatever way, I do appreciate your listen. I do appreciate your save, your like, your share, whatever it is. Know that you're loved directly and indirectly by millions of people that you don't even know. And yeah, let go, let God. Don't give a fuck. And I guess the basis of all these are just don't hurt anybody in these instances. It could be, all right, the other thing, all right, I thought the podcast was done, but what I believe in is being honest. People love to hate a lie, and people think they love the truth, but the facts are, especially from my career as a human, is the truth hurts. It does. But again, whatever you can't control, just let it be. If somebody don't want to fuck with you for whatever reason, alright, cool. This is one person out of billions of people in the world, bro. Like, or sis, bro, sis. Like, come on. Let's not do that. Anyways, another podcast, another quick little episode. Yeah, peace, love. I stop this thing now.